Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video on Stardrive. So today I thought it'd be kind of interesting to show off the ship designer even further. There aren't a lot of videos out there to really go in depth with the ship customization, which is the best part of Stardrive, I feel. So I'm in the dev mode. As you can see, we have unlocked all the technologies here. And now we're just going to go and design a ship. Once we're in here, we can unlock every hull that we want, and we can play around with everything, even create a sort of a Xeno ship if you so choose. A remnant ship, I should say. Boop. But I think what would be interesting is to make a human battleship, because in my playthrough that I'm playing right now, the legitimate playthrough, I am playing as humans, so maybe I'll make a few hauls just to prepare for that campaign there. I'm going to set up my repair options to conservative, and I'm going to set them to forward facing. And now I think I'm going to focus this battleship on ballistics, because I think that matches with the sort of motif of human battleship. And I like to make it as cheap as possible, so I like to go with steel. This is just for me. You don't have to do it my way. You can do it your way if you want. So I'm going to start with steel point defense. These steel sort of armor defense weapons are actually quite strong. They're quite hardy with over 3000 HP, and they have a pretty decent range, very good projectile speed. They shoot in a salvo of 4, and they can attack both missiles and ships at the same time. They can attack fighters and battleships, that sort of thing. They can pretty much attack everything. They have a very good arc as well at 120 degrees. They're very good. I'd highly recommend putting them on your battleship class vessels or even cruisers. Anything that has access to these O slots right there can fit armor defense weapons there. Highly recommended. So I'm going to place maybe 4 on this sort of abdomen, right? This section. I like to divide my ships into like the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. So maybe I'll just put 4 there and try to make it like sort of spread out so it's like all nice and even. So we're going to start 4 there. I'm going to put another 4 right here. Yeah, that looks nice. And maybe another 4 like so. Actually, put that up 1. Put that up like that. It's also a good idea to maybe spread out your weapons as well, because when enemies start using their area effect weapons, if you put your modules close together, they're both going to take damage. So maybe giving it like a 4 block or maybe even 3 slot sort of spread may be preferable in that sense. But you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that, because I do have plans for this sort of section right here. So I'm going to maybe leave that as is. So now that's done. What I'm going to do, going to go back to ballistics and put on railgun turrets. These are pretty good. I like them. They have a range of 4000, which is pretty good. Damage of 378, blast radius of 2. That's pretty nice. Speed of 1500, DPS 157, and a delay of 2.4 seconds. And they're pretty nice with ordnance per shot. Pretty efficient weapons. So I like to use them for my battleships. I'm going to place 3 right there. Maybe 3, or sorry, just 2 right there and 1 right there. So that'll give me a total of 12 railgun turrets, and they also have a very good firing arc as well. Next, I'm going to place class 3. Where are you? Class 3 shields. Because I feel like if you're not putting shields on, then you're probably not going to have a good time in this game. And I like to place my shields internally, and then but set it up in such a way to where there's a little bit of overlap. Oh, that is a little bit of an issue there. Yeah, it should be fine. Not that big of a deal. It's just a little section that they'd have to shoot in order to do damage. So I don't think that will be too bad there. Okay, so that's all covered up. This should be all covered up. There's just looking at the shields here. There's a little bit of an overhang there, a little bit of a sliver. That should be covered. And the back end right here is going to have some issues. Maybe I can bring these back one and still have full coverage. Ooh, that tightens it up a little bit, but there's a little gap here. I think I'll live with it. It's mostly fully covered, and this is covered up too. So yeah, I think this is pretty much like 99.9% coverage for the whole entire ship as far as shields are concerned. So I think this is pretty decent. I'm going to turn arcs off now. Now the rest I'm going to put armor. And for the front, I want to put large steel armors there because this is going to be forward facing. Remember, that means the ship will always be turning and facing the enemy. So I want this nose as armored as possible. So it has 14,000 HP there with a deflection of 40. So what that means is for deflection, if a weapon has less than 40 damage, it'll just deflect off the hull and won't do as much damage to it. So it has a deflection of 40, and say, like, for example, if these steel HMG defense guns were to target this, it would just deflect off the hull because it has a very high deflection. And it has a hybrid resistance of 15, so this means hybrid weapon damage. What is hybrid weapon damage? There are no weapons that do hybrid damage, so I never really understood that, but I'm pretty sure if I were to make an educated guess, hybrid weapon resistance means like just overall resistant to all weapons there. That's my educated guess. So now I'm gonna armor it up even further. I'm gonna use this here, and then we're gonna use this right there. You know, I might want to put some laser PD on as well. I feel like purple laser PD is overall the best because of its rate of fire, and it can also attack missiles as well, and that would be just good to have also. So I'm gonna put do there, going to this, and this, or maybe, you know what, we'll see for now. I'm gonna leave that open because I may have to make some conduits over to power up these HMG guns here. So I feel like this is getting pretty good. Just need to armor it up a little bit further, like that, like so. And that's kind of like the first sort of section done there. So I'm gonna just power it up. I'm gonna put these nuclear reactors, and the only reason why I'm placing nuclear reactors right here is because I don't want to be pulling conduits way over here from like where I'm going to be placing my primary power generators. So do this, perfect. Now the thorax is powered up, and now I'm probably just going to armor up the middle. Actually, oop, dang it, come on, there you go, perfect. Yeah, and so I'm going to armor up the middle now with reinforced bulkheads. Do this. That should be good too. And just for the sake of making it pretty on the inside, I'm going to do that as well. So what this will do is, let's say, because this is going to be forward facing, this whole section, the nose, as it were, gets destroyed. These detonate, which do 1,000 explosive damage. These will absorb all that damage as much as possible. Absorbing it by 30% and bringing that down to maybe what, 800 HP. Sort of, kind of, yeah. So this is just to armor up the nose, so when enemies do sort of drill their way through it, they will have to drill all the way through all these sort of blocks and other defenses too. So that's the way I sort of increase the survivability of my ships there. Now, oh, I'm missing one more ballistic cannon. I think what we're going to use is dual mass drivers as well. I'm going to put it right here. Yeah, I think that would be good. I'm burping. Sorry. Okay, so that will be decent. So now I'm going to power up the back with fusion reactors. Gonna do this. Might just want to have a check here, see how far my power conduits go. Because if I can bring them right there, I can power up the back of the engines. We're going to use 4 capital warp engines right here. Put them like that, and then we're going to use combat thrusters as support, and then we're going to use small engines like so. We still need to add a lot more power, of course, but the reason why I'm kind of leaving a space here because I do want to keep this armored with some bulkheads, so if they do penetrate through, they penetrate through my somewhat hardy engines here. They'll have to penetrate a little bit more in order to gain access to my fusion reactors, because the back end would probably be my most vulnerable area by far. Now, yes, more power. More. So now we have a power recharge of 15. We also still need to pull. How far? Let's make this as efficient as we can. Okay, so that will power up everything in that area. And I do want to add some purple PD right there. So that will be good also. That should be kind of decent. This. Just to make it more cleaned up. I have a little bit of an OCD issue. Like, it must be equal. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're gonna armor up the rest here. Dang it. It's not pretty. I'm gonna have a problem. But it must be equal. Nah, that looks disgusting. Let's not do that. Dang. Because I'd like to put 4 there. I know it's possible, but then I'd have to like pretty much reconfigure everything. It's not worth it. Dang it. It's like probably one of the most vulnerable areas too, because it has such a wide surface area. I could move this down there and that would fit too. But I don't want to do that. Dang it. Okay, here. Well, I can armor up in the internals a little bit, and that should help out a little. If they do bleed through like the flanks, I'm hoping that will help out. I'm gonna use steel again just to armor up. It's always more efficient to use the bigger blocks if you can fit them than versus just making like 4 small square blocks. Just to bear that in mind if you do when you do make your own ship. There you go, that's nice and armored. And now I need to make command modules. So I'm gonna make a few bridges. So that should bring up my tracking up to 12. So what the tracking does is you can only track a certain amount of targets. So if once I start like moving my turrets and where they can fire around, my tracking will probably go down over time. And what that means is the ship cannot target every ship that is surrounding it at once. It needs more tracking abilities. So in order to increase your tracking abilities, you add more command modules, these bridges, or even a command information center. Maybe even slap that on there, which will increase my tracking to 10 and my accuracy up to 10 as well, because they're also accuracy percentages. Maybe you can see that. I'll try to bring that over. So there's like this accuracy right there. So basically that means the weapon's chance to miss the target. That's all that means there. So if you use a higher powered command module, that will increase the accuracy there, and then all your weapons will be more accurate, which means it'll do more damage, which is always a good thing, I think. Just gonna re-armor up this here. And I'm gonna add some large ordnances. 1, 2. And that should increase my ammo time to 76 seconds there, which is up to a minute of just pure constant firing, assuming all these weapons are firing constantly non-stop. And then I could probably place, but I kind of want to armor that up even more. As you can probably tell, I am using As you can tell, I'm using very cheap modules, like the basic starting modules. And the reason why is because I just want to have a cheap battleship, because it is still a battleship. Remember, you know, it's still going to be pretty powerful. I think that's pretty decent. Okay, so we're having almost upwards of 2 minutes of pure constant fire. That's pretty good. So we're going to look at our design issues. No command backup module. That's okay. I don't really care about that too much. Because generally speaking, looking at this, once you get to like the innards here, like assuming all the outside parts of a ship are destroyed, it doesn't really matter if you have a backup module or not. It's done. So there's really no point in having a backup command module if like everything on the outside and the inside are being destroyed here. Could probably make this even more efficient by replacing some of these fusion reactors with maybe a nuclear one, just to bring costs down even further, because we do have quite a bit of recharge at warp. We don't need that much. So I'm going to, oops, I don't want to do that. Okay, we'll slowly just replace here. Weapon fire time, 2 minutes. Actually, I can leave that as is. That's pretty tight to the wall. So weapon fire power time, all that means is, because I have energy weapons, remember? So these energy weapons will stop firing or will have a lower DPS after 2 minutes. That's what that means, basically, in a nutshell, which is a long time as far as this game is concerned. Turn rate of 10, that's okay. It's a big battleship. We got an FTL speed of 21.59k. That's pretty good for a battleship. I'm quite satisfied with this design. We're just going to finish up here, set up our firing angles. I'm going to start with my point defense HMGs. Set them up like this. Going to set up my, it's like that. Oh, have it like perfect. So because I have it angled in such a way, this is probably the most efficient angle to have for 120 degrees, where you just set it at the 45-degree angle. You probably saw that number right there on this turret that I'm selecting. Because what will happen is this turret will be able to shoot way over here and will be able to shoot in the front. So that's probably the best angle to set it up in overall. And have it set like that. So what happens is we have 4 shooting our rear. So if there's something shooting behind us, they'll be able to do so. One, I could have set it up like this. Have 1, 2, 3, and then we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 facing our rear and then 3 facing our front. So I think that's pretty decent there. So now we're just going to finish up setting up our ship here. Like that. That. Like that. Like that. Also got these dual mass drivers here. Pretty strong, pretty powerful. They do pretty much 120% extra damage versus shields, which is pretty good. I like those. Some would say, well, there are better, more efficient mass drivers out there, but I like the big punchy guns. That's just me. So 1, 2 for the rear. 1 here. Let's see. Let's try to organize this. I'm trying to balance it out here. So we have, let me, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's pretty balanced as far as our PD angles are concerned. We got 5 facing the front, 5 facing the rear. So if anything comes at us at our rear, we'll be able to take that out. So now we have these small purple laser cannons that we have to fix here. I am selecting toggle symmetry, so that means whatever I do on this side will be reflected on this side, which saves so much time when it comes to designing a ship there. Very nice addition to Blackbox, I would think. Probably the best, I would say. Set that like that. Set that like that. Set that to the front like that. Angle it to the front. And we're going to do the same here. The rear. And Do it like this. Do it like this, and front again. And then we're just, what do I do with these? Probably that. Why not? Because it is, remember, facing the front more often than not there. So that's a pretty much completed design. So slow warp speed supposed to be at 31. Whatever. It's fine. Not that big of a deal. Wait, what am I missing here? Bombs, because then we can increase the utility. That way it's just not a pure anti-space fighter. We can throw in some bombs there. Oh no. Dang it. Needs power. Dang, okay. It's not a big deal. I can just pull these power modules or power conduits back like so, and that will be enough distance from which I can power up that module or this sort of area, at least for my purposes. So I'm going to throw that there, and that will be powered up now. And then we're going to go back to ballistic cannon. Mass drivers. Going to throw that on there. So there you go. Now everything is all powered. We can even bomb planets if we so choose. We have an ammo time of under, you know, 100, under 2 minutes there, which is, this is more than enough. Because remember, it's a battleship. It can't really do everything on its own. I'd like to design my ships with like, well, you can stay in the fight for over 2 minutes, but I will have support vessels for you that will be able to replenish your ammunition over time. So it's not that big of a deal. This is more than enough for me. And we also do have a command information center there, which will be very, very nice indeed. Oh, and this is the problem that I was hoping wouldn't like kick in. So what I was talking about, low target tracking. So in order to solve this, we just need to have more command modules, and that's all I really want. So I'm gonna get my command modules by just throwing on some dual cockpits. Where can I throw them on? Could throw them right here. Oh, but it needs to be powered up. Okay. All right, buddy. Dang. Okay, so I'm gonna throw them in the back there, so that should be okay. Put that there and put that there. Ammunition doesn't need to be powered, so I'm not worried about that. So we brought our ammo time even lower now. I could replace these just to bring that ammo time back up to nearly 2 minutes. But again, like I said, I could just support this with like a sort of support frigate that has ammo producing facilities, and it can have supply shuttles bringing ammunition to the battleship there, so it's not that big of a deal. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty decent design. It's really cheap at 1,500. That's pretty snazzy as far as the cheapness is concerned. FPS tracking is at 14. That means it can track everything everywhere at all times. It can bomb planets as well, just for greater utility. Overall, I think it's a pretty decent battleship vessel. So we're going to save it. I'm going to call it the H mainline battleship. So when I call it the H mainline, the H stands for the human. And the reason why I put H in front of pretty much all my designs, because if you're designing, say, a Volfar ship and you give it the same name as, say, another ship for a different faction, it'll just replace that name. So we just put the sort of affix there, H for human, and then we can name it whatever we like. So the H mainline is going to be like my primary battleship that I just start producing. I think it's a pretty decent one. I'm quite satisfied with my creation here. So now we're going to bring it out and test it. So I'm going to go to ships here, go to battleship, and we're going to try to find our mainline ship here. Where are you? Maybe at the bottom. I made some tests already, but this is probably my most decent one. We're going to make one, and then we're going to cancel that out, and then I'm just going to test it out to see how she fares against, let's say, what is that, 7 cruisers? I think it'll do pretty well. I think so. So already that cruiser is almost dead. Just going to delete these because they're ruining my testing. So those were the mass railguns, or sorry, the mass drivers taking out those shields there. Pretty nice and snazzy, I would say. So what's happening right here, you're probably noticing that the armor is not being removed. That's because we do have our armor penetration. Where are we here? Armor piercing. So kinetic projectiles will pass through the first small-sized armor module encountered. The armor will take no damage, and then we have it all unlocked to rank 3. So it does kind of make testing a little bit iffy, but still, I think this is a pretty strong battleship. I think even if I had to drill through armor, I think this would fare just fine on its own here. So, okay, so the front shields are down, the nose shields, and now they're just bleeding through all my armor here. I'm pretty sure that HMGs are going to go down any second, at least that one is. So that guy's retreating. These guys are probably going to retreat now too. So there goes those HMGs, like I was saying. They can target anything, including missiles as well. There goes that. There goes this as well. He'll be down and out any second. And as you can see, the battleship is turning its nose. Hey, you're ruining my testing. Get out of here. You're ruining my testing as well. Get out. Delete. But as I was saying, you saw the battleship turning to face its nose. So if you do have a forward-facing sort of behavior for your ships, good idea to armor up those noses, just to increase that survivability that much more. Let's do more testing. I'm gonna surround it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to see how she fares. I accept. Okay, so off he goes. There goes those mass drivers again. Okay, it's already pretty much dead here. Dead in the water. He's retreating. Mass drivers. Okay, so he's pretty much out of the game. So there goes those turrets, those railguns attacking everything. It has very balanced sort of fields of fire. So nothing should be able to surround it, really. Ooh, okay, that rear is pretty hefty. We gotta protect our rear. So what will happen is these enemy cruisers will do have like an attack move behavior. So what that will do, they'll just move around, fly around the target and try to get like a bead on the most vulnerable areas. So they were attacking the rear quite significantly there, but they weren't capable of bleeding through fast enough to get to access to my squishy bits. So already all those cruisers are pretty much gone now. They can't really do much of anything. We're going to chase. Give chase. Oh, there's hyperspace flux. Unfortunate. And we are out of ammo there, but you know, it did last for a good long while. And again, you have to remember this ship wouldn't be attacking the enemy on its own, relatively speaking, but the fact that it could take out or deal with quite a few cruisers on its own is just shows how strong it is, really. That rear though is going to be a little bit of an issue, I would think. There they go. Yeah, it's not a bad ship. I really like the overall design. I think it's nice and balanced all the way through. You know, it's got pretty decent point defense. It's got good main weapons, very nice primaries. Yeah, I can't really see too much of a flaw in it. Some would say, well, the armor could be improved. Of course it could, but I do like to make my cheap ships that I can just pump out there. Yeah, it's not bad at all. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for watching this video on ship design. Please let me know if you like videos like these and want to see more videos like them. Please like and subscribe for more. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Such a strong ship.